Good morning, distinguished speakers, guests, and participants. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to today's workshop, Meet the Editors, Contemporary Issues in Business and Economics Research. My name is Naila, as introduced by our Master of Ceremony, and I am truly honored to serve as the moderator for this session today. This workshop serves as a unique platform for academic professionals, researchers, and aspiring authors to engage directly with journal editors, gain valuable insights into the publishing process, and deepen our understanding of how to navigate the dynamic world of academic publishing. Whether you are a seasoned scholar or just starting your research journey, today's session is designed to provide practical guidance and foster meaningful conversations that can advance your scholarly goals. As we all know, the process of publishing academic work is not just about meeting the journal requirements. It is about contributing to a broader academic discourse, sharing innovative ideas, and ensuring that your research has a lasting impact. And yet, many challenges often stand in the way, from choosing the right journal, understanding editorial expectations, and addressing peer review feedback, to maintaining the ethical standard required for impactful publishing. And that is why we are thrilled to have a panel of esteemed journal editors with us today who bring with them a wealth of experience and expertise. Their insights will shed light on past practices, common pitfalls, and the evolving trends in academic publishing. So please allow me to take a moment to express our gratitude to our panelists for making time to share their perspective and experience with us. And before we dive into today's agenda, let me outline the format of this workshop. We will begin with presentations from each of our editors and followed by a Q&A session with pressing questions you may have. So please feel free to take a note of your questions and thoughtful as we proceed. Without further ado, let us begin by introducing our first editor, Professor Thurasamy Ramayah. Professor Ramayah is a professor at School of Management, University of Science, Malaysia. He is a chief editor of a Q1 Scopus indexed journal named Journal of Applied Structural Equation Modeling, or JASEM, and a chief editor of a Q3 Scopus indexed Asian Academy of Management Journal, or AAMJ. Professor Ramayah also has numerous publications in many journals, including Journal of Business Research and Journal of Hospitality and Tourism Management. I wouldn't read the whole list because it's too long, Professor. And he has a recent forthcoming publication in Business Strategy and the Environment with a paper titled Artificial Intelligence-Based Dynamic Capabilities and Circular Supply Chain, Analyzing the Potential Indirect Effect of Frugal Innovation in Retailing Firm. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Professor Ramayah to the stage. Please be seated. Our second speaker is Dr. Siwage Dharma Negara. Sounds familiar. Indonesian name. Dr. Siwage, or Pak Siwage, is an editorial member of the Journal of Southeast Asian Economies of ICEAS, a Q2 Scopus indexed journal. He is also an editorial member of Asia Pacific Economic Literature of Australian National University, a Q3 Scopus indexed journal. Pak Siwage is also a coordinator for the Indonesia Studies Program and coordinator for the Singapore APEC Study Center at the ICS Yusof Ishak Institute. He is an adjunct fellow at S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies, or RSIS, at Nanyang Technological University. His research focus is on regional economic cooperation, digital economy, industry policy, and Indonesia's energy transition. And prior to joining ICS, Pak Siwage was a researcher at the Indonesian Institute of Sciences, or LIPI, and served as an economist for the World Bank Jakarta office. He holds a Ph.D. in economics from the University of Melbourne, Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Pak Siwage to the stage. Thank you. Now we arrive at our main agenda, presentations from our guest editor, Pak Professor Ramayah and Pak Siwage. Without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Ramayah as the first speaker. Professor Ramayah, time and floor is yours.
Okay, good morning. First of all, let me thank Mita and UGM for inviting me. It was a very hectic week this week. I was telling her I actually have another session and I was squeezing it inside. So I've already given you some materials for you to download, right? I hope you have downloaded them. Then you don't have to take photos of the slides. The slides are available for you. Because every time I do workshop, people tend to take photo. It's very distracting, right? Okay. So the slides are already given. Maybe I will update later, but there are full slides are there. So like the earlier speaker already mentioned about the requirement for publication, right? So what I will be focusing on is some of the changes happening in quantitative research, which is, I do a lot of quantitative research, which is more survey focused. Okay. So if you see the picture here, the process of doing research is actually a process. You write your paper, right? You think you have the best paper in the world, right? Okay. Unfortunately, the others don't think so. Okay, that's a problem. Every time I reject a paper, I get emails. How come you rejected my paper? Okay. You have to also do your homework. Okay. So it's actually a whole process that you go through. And it is becoming more and more difficult now compared to many years ago, because we get lots of papers in a year. So we cannot be publishing all the papers. So I currently just reject about 95% in my journal. Okay, because there's too many. I receive about 600-700 papers in a year. I want to publish only 20 papers. Okay, and I cannot be sending out papers to review because reviewers are not very happy also, because too many papers to review. So that's some of the issues. So this is the issue I will be talking about. I think there's a lot of changes happening in rigor, we call it. When you do research and quantitative research, if I look at my paper published like 5 years ago, I actually laugh at myself. How did I write a paper like that? But that was 5 years ago. But as you go along, you have to improve. Okay, that's the idea of the game. So you can also visit my website that I developed in the year 2000. This is something you need to also invest. Okay, invest in your career. Don't expect the university to pay everything for you. Okay, we also have colleagues like that. Everything they want the university to pay for them. This is a website I host on my own. Every year I pay about 500 ringgit. Okay, and then I update on my own. So anything I want to post to my students or anybody, I just put it here. Like the Google Drive link and all, I can put them directly. So this is what you can do for process. So when you do research, we call it science, right? Okay, you are designer. Okay, you do good science, right? After you go do your research with a good science, you must get it published, right? Publication is the communication partner. So somehow you need to communicate whatever you have found to a bigger audience. So there are different audiences. Let's say you want to publish in a journal. The journal readers, the journal editors, you need to get through them. So that's why we need to understand the process. This is what I did when I was on the way to Yogyakarta. I had a transit in Kuala Lumpur for 3 hours. In November, we received 7 papers. And if you see the desk rejection, 6 out of 7. And 3 of them are from Indonesia. Okay. 3 of them are from Indonesian authors. The reason we rejected is there are many issues with the rigor. There's no theory. The measurement is incorrect. Analysis has problem. Your single source data. The discussion is not there. They are actually repeating what they write in the findings. Those are issues why we desk reject. Okay, so those are some of the things we will discuss. So this is a collection of reasons why papers are rejected. And if you see, a lot of the issues are related to contribution, right? First one is the contribution, and then the methodology. Okay, these are 2 things which is very sticky. And in many developing countries, we have problems with both. Many people don't understand what is a theory. Okay. Yesterday, my student messaged me. In the colloquium, there was a PhD student presenting a research model. She only has a variable called intention. And then she claims she's using theory of planned behavior. And she actually told the student, hopefully my supervisor is not your examiner. Okay. Theory of planned behavior comes with a collection of variables, not only intention. But just because they have intention, they claim they are using theory of planned behavior. That doesn't make sense. So understanding is very important. So these are some of the issues why papers are rejected. Okay, these are some papers in the folder that I gave you. There are a couple of papers about changes in rigor. This paper by the authors of Journal of International Business Studies, they actually stated here, what were acceptable methodological practices even 5 years ago can easily and rapidly become unacceptable. So what they are saying is, a paper published in their journal 5 years ago, but if you submit a paper similar to the paper, it will be desk rejected. It was acceptable 5 years ago. That's what is happening. And this is one of my personal favorite articles I share in most of my workshops. This talks about changes in rigor. What they say is, if you cited Barron and Kenny, Posakov and Organ, Harmon and so on in the 80s, they're okay. But now we are in 2024, right? We have more recent papers that you should be citing for methodological rigor. Why this is important is because of here. You see here? The essence of science lies in the collective quest towards continuous progress. In terms of methodology, this means we need to strive for stronger inference. This is the key word. No? We need to have stronger inference before a paper can get accepted. And this is one of my personal favorite authors in the world. Okay. Have you read any papers by this author? Anybody? No? You're living in a different planet, I think. Okay, you should start looking at this guy. He's the president of Academy of Management. President of Academy of Management. He writes really, really, really good papers on changes in methodology. Okay, this is one of them. And the title very nice, right? So now you know why your papers are not accepted. You have titles which are very year 2000. Faktor-faktor mempengaruhi. Factors influencing, right? Do ya? Okay. Okay, yeah, okay. So you know lah. You look at the title. Here, the title, no, not this one. So previous, okay. Okay. I think I have another paper. Okay, there's another paper. How come it's missed? Okay, the paper's title is "It's the Theory Stupid." The title. Okay, the author is actually calling everybody stupid, so that you will read the paper. That's for theory. This is another paper that talks about theoretical rigor. Previously, we were talking about methodological rigor. Now they are saying you have good methodology, but you don't package with a good theory. Okay, both must come together. Then only your paper will get accepted. Okay, so this is the process of doing quantitative research. I hope some of you are familiar with this process of doing research in quantitative research, right? I hope you understand. Hopefully. We'll see. She's smiling. She already attended my talk. She knows. So this is the process you learn in your research method classes, right? We call it deductive reasoning. In deductive reasoning, you begin with the theory, and based on the theory, you will develop your research model. Somewhere between your theory and your hypothesis, there will be a gap. Okay, research gap, right? Okay, we call it contribution. Based on the contribution, you develop your hypothesis, collect and analyze your data, and then accept, reject hypothesis. This is a process you go through. You learn this in your basic undergraduate research method classes, right? But what I find is many people do not understand what it means in the process. Okay, for example, when you do your quantitative research, right? You have these two variables called perceived usefulness and intention to use. Okay, can we test this model? Yes or no? Can we test this model? Lama tengok. Yeah, can or cannot? Okay, can, right? Okay, that's what you think lah. Huh? You cannot, no? You actually cannot, no? Okay, you cannot test this model yet, no? Okay, what happens is we have two abstract concepts, no? Called perceived usefulness and intention to use, right? These are two abstract concepts you have in your mind. You must first measure them. You must first measure them, right? So at this level, we call them theoretical. Based on the theory, we develop this relationship, right? We cannot still test them. This usually happens in chapter 2 of your thesis, right? Chapter 2 of your thesis. So what we need to do is, we need to bring them to an empirical level. Can you see? Previously, we were looking at the theoretical level. Now we are bringing down to the empirical level. So now we have items, right? Yeah. Okay. This usually happens in chapter number 3 of your thesis, right? Okay. Okay. When you bring this level, right? When we bring this conceptual level to an empirical level, there's a gap here, right? Can you see the gap here? What is this gap called? Okay, again, you want to measure this variable, right? Okay, but what you actually measure is this, right? There will be a gap, right? What is that gap called? But you do this all the time, right? Okay, you do this all the time without understanding, because everybody is doing ISO do. We call it validity reliability. You understand? Why is because of this? This is what I want to measure. Okay, this is what I actually measure. I want to see how close is the measurement to the actual. That is why we need validity reliability. Okay, you are not measuring directly. We are measuring proxies, right? So that's why we need to have another stage called validity reliability. So once you do that, we will have a questionnaire like this, right? Can you see? This is the instrument you collect your data. And here also we have lots of problems. Okay, especially graduate students, the kind of item they have, there's lots of issue with the item. So before you design your questionnaire, you have to understand questionnaire design process. Leading question, loaded question, double barrel question, right? So that you can be able to evaluate the question you adopt. Okay. So after you have this, these are variables you have in your quantitative research, right? Okay. I hope you understand the differences, right? When to introduce them. Okay. Hopefully, okay. Let's say we have a model like this. We have 3 variables here. Okay. And then we have one here, right? Let's say we write the hypothesis. Okay. These are the 4 hypotheses I write. Okay. And okay. And now I get the results. So we have 4 results here, right? Out of the 4 hypotheses, which ones are significant? Yeah. Mita, H4, H4, Okay. If you do that, you have a major correction. Okay, this is a common problem I'm seeing. 2 days ago, we also had a keynote speaker from Indonesia, from Brawijaya. So he was presenting, I was squinting my eye. It was actually incorrect. Okay, the problem is here, you look at the p-value, right? Can you see? Okay. But the software doesn't understand you are testing one tail or two tail. Okay. And it's still happening until today. Even at the PhD. You may have passed your PhD. You have to go back and check. Okay. What is happening is, you wrote a one tail hypothesis, right? You understand one tail, a left tail, right tail, right? This is a right tail test. Okay. But you're testing at a two tail test. Okay. So like this. You understand? This is for two tail. You learn in your statistics classes, right? But you forgot until today. Okay. So what you are supposed to test is like this. Okay. You are supposed to test like this, not the first one. So this is for two tail. You're not writing there is a significant relationship, right? You're writing positive relationship is on the right. Negative relationship is on the left. Okay. Then you're testing at 1.645. Okay. So let's go back here. Now look at the t value, right? Look at this t value, right? This is significant, right? Okay. And this is significant, right? This is significant. 1, 2, 3 is significant. So your chapter 4 is wrong, chapter 5 is wrong. Okay. That's 2 chapters, right? In my university, anything to do with reanalysis is major correction. Okay. And until today, they are still doing that. I think, Mita, I saw your paper also. You have this problem also. Okay. Because your hypothesis is one tail, but you have a 95% confidence, which is incorrect. If it's one tail, it should be 90% confidence. Okay. This is a common problem I'm seeing. So these are basic things. So I hope you have a better understanding after this. And until today, still people are doing the same thing. Okay. You should understand one tail and two tail. Okay. Any question? No. Nobody? Or we go finish then? Okay. No? Okay. Sorry. Okay. Next is the issue of contribution. Okay, we have 3 types of contribution. Conceptual contribution, empirical contribution, and methodological contribution. The more important one, which is that gives you originality, is the first one, which is conceptual. Okay. The second and the third one, they are actually part of the first one. Okay. So what are the conceptual contribution you can focus on? There are 4 of them. Okay. The number 1 is like this. You have an instrument currently available which has only 2 dimensions. Dimension 1 and dimension 2. This is the variable I want to measure with 2 dimensions. But what I'm saying is, with the changes in technology, this measurement is no longer valid. I need to extend the measurement. So your focus is to develop a new scale. Okay, that's number 1. So you can do this, right? So this is a PhD from US, just to develop a new scale called knowledge sharing. Okay, she has a variable called knowledge sharing measured by 4 dimensions. Why these 4 dimensions are needed is, previously we need to meet a person face to face to share, right? Okay, this is what we call as know how. This is know what. Okay. Know what you can get from books, manuals, and all, right? This one you cannot get directly. You need to interact with the person, right? You need to meet the person at a workshop or seminar. But now we can do this, right? We have this community of practice, do you know? Community of practice, people who drive like a scooter, right? They get together in a Facebook page and then they will tell you, if you want to change your tire, you go here. You want to change your oil, you go here. They're actually sharing without meeting the person. So that was not previously possible. So that is the reason why we need to expand the measurement. So the contribution comes from expanding the measurement. Okay. Okay. So that's number 1. Okay. Number 2 is the most popular one. I think everybody in, I always say this, welcome to Malaysia, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Jordan. What we do is we start with a theory, right? This is your theory. What we do is we start adding variables anywhere in the model. You see that? This is a common one. You take a theory, Then you add an independent variable, mediator variable, moderator variable, or a dependent variable. Okay. But in Malaysia, we have already come to a understanding. If you are doing a PhD, it must be a moderator or a mediator. Do you have that, Mita? Okay. In some universities in Malaysia, right? If you don't have a moderator, mediator, you will not pass with a PhD. You will not, no? Okay. They will fail you during the proposal defense. Okay, that's happening. Although I don't agree, but unfortunately, the examiners are everybody in the same boat, right? So this is the second one. Okay. The third one is the theory is like this, but what we are saying is there are some additional arrows which has not been tested before, 1 and 2. So we are giving reason why these arrows are needed. Okay, this becomes more difficult. Okay, the most difficult one is this. We don't change any variable in the model, but we are giving alternative explanation. Okay, so previously the theory tells you attitude leads to intention for some reason, right? The reasoning is given by the theory, but now what you're arguing is I have a different explanation why attitude leads to intention. This is the most difficult. Okay, that's why you don't see many people doing this, right? So now you know why we focus on number 2. That's the easiest. Okay, that's the easiest. Okay, so that's conceptual contribution. For empirical contribution, also we have 4 of them. If you see, number 1 is related to testing validity, reliability. When you develop a new scale, just now we had a number 1, right? That's a contribution you get by testing it. And then we have moderator and also mediator. Okay, you test moderator, mediator. And the last one is this relationship, right? Remember this relationship? This relationship has not been tested before. Now we are testing it empirically. Okay, so those are the 4 which comes under empirical. And the third one is called methodological contribution. A methodological contribution, the first one is a problem I see in many countries. We call it shared method variance. When you collect your questionnaire, right? Your independent variable, mediator variable, dependent variable, control variable, all comes from the same questionnaire. Right? Yes? I also do that because we are all in the same boat, right? Okay. I have lived happily for about 30 years. In the last 5 years, not so happy anymore. Now, many top journals are rejecting papers which have single source. Independent variable, dependent variable answered by the same person. There you have this problem called shared method variance. Can we change the method of data collection to get better understanding? That's number 1. Okay, number 2 is previously many research have done non-random sampling. Can we put the sampling frame together and do some random sampling? Okay. Number 3 is the moderator. Number 4 is a more difficult one. This is the way you collect data. Instead of using only questionnaire, we have a combination. Okay. This is what one of my PhD students did. She wants to study homestay awareness. Okay, homestay awareness, we have 10-item questionnaire, true and false. You get 0 marks or 100 marks. Objective question, 0 to 100 marks. Then after they answer this, they will be sitting in a computer room with 30 computers. Okay, and they are given task of looking for homestay. Okay, the way you search, we can search depth, we can look at search depth and search breadth. What is meant by search depth is from the same page you scroll down. This way, that's called depth. This way is called breadth, from one page to another. Okay, this is not answered by the respondent. This is coming from the log, computer log. So after the session, the researcher will look at the computer log and code. Okay, and then after they finish the session, they will answer the search satisfaction. Okay? Here is primary questionnaire. This is from computer log, secondary, right? This one is primary. Okay, so now we have different sources of data. This also can be done. But the only thing is this person has some IT background. And you need to have privacy arrangement with the respondent to look at the log. Okay, so those are concerns with this kind of data collection. Okay, so this is an example of a paper written in Journal of Marketing, how they put together some of the concerns I have raised. So we have the first one here called supported theoretical relationship. The black ones are nothing new. This dotted one, they have tested many times, but they were not significant. So they want to test. Unsupported. If you see this broken line, untested. So nobody has tested them before. You give a reason why this is tested. And this is journal of marketing. Journal of marketing takes 3 to 5 years to publish a paper. So if you publish a paper in journal of marketing, you can put in front of your door. Anybody comes, I have journal of marketing, okay? No need to write anymore. Okay? But that doesn't happen in developing countries. Every year they need paper. Okay? So that's one of the challenges. Okay, another paper you can look at is for contribution is this paper by Ladek and Stewart. Okay, Ladek and Stewart put the contribution from number 1 to number 8, right? Number 1 is not original at all. Replication study. Anybody doing replication studies? You don't get a PhD for replication, unfortunately. There's nothing original, right? Number 8 is totally original. Okay, you won't be doing it here, right? If you are doing number 8, no? Okay. Number 1 is not original at all. So number 2 is the one many people focus on, called replication and extension. Okay. What is meant by replication and extension is like this. Let's say I want to study a theory called theory of reason action, and I want to look at chatbot adoption. Okay, chatbot adoption. These are the original variable from the theory, right? Okay. If you do the same variable, then it's replication. Okay. So what we do is we add variables to the left. We know attitude is important. What variables shape the attitude? So now we are extending the model, right? Okay, with variables. Okay. Here now from offline setting, we want to study online, right? So this variable become important, right? Perceived security and perceived privacy. So we are adding this way. Okay. This is also considered contribution. Okay. Then we look at a moderator, right? There are some people who like to talk to people. You don't like to talk to machine, right? Because AI chatbots are machines. Okay. They don't have feeling. Okay. I don't like that. So I still go to the counter to interact with the bank teller. So if this is high, okay, if this is high, then the relationship will be weaker. So that's why we add this moderator. Okay. And then the final one, we can add a mediator to the left. So this is how you extend the original theory with new variables. So this is a minimum requirement called replication with extension. Okay. Okay. So your contribution has 3 components. You have context, method, and theory, right? So this happens in chapter number 1. This happens in chapter number 2. And this happens in chapter number 3. So if you put these 3 together, then only a panel can decide whether the project is doable. All 3 together. Okay. Okay. So if you want to read this paper, this is a very good paper for you to read. Summers 2001. He gives you how to write up your contribution. Okay. Different kinds of contribution. Okay. Next, we have a problem with this term called theory. Many people use theory, but they do not understand what theory is actually. Okay. So what happens is, when we do quantitative research, we begin with the theory, right? Okay. Okay. So like this. So this is the paper I was telling you just now by Aguinis. If you see the title, is the theory stupid? So he's calling the person stupid, right? Okay. So that you will read. So what he says is, theories are critical for anyone seeking to explain, predict, and influence what happens in organization. Okay. Yeah. So this is important. So for theories, we have different kinds of theories. What is a theory? This is the definition of a theory. A set of interrelated construct, concept, definition, proposition that present a systematic view of the phenomena. What is phenomena? The problem we are trying to solve. So if you want to solve the problem of organizational performance, your theory will be driven by organizational level theories. That's how you start. So there are 3 components to the theory. You need to understand them. Okay. So when we talk about theory, we have 4 building blocks of the theory. The first one is the what. Okay. The what is this. 1, 2, 3, the boxes. You see the boxes? The boxes are the what? Okay, that's the first thing you need to identify. We have these two issues called comprehensiveness and parsimony. Okay, you can have a model very large, which is comprehensive. You won't get good data. You can have a very simple model like TAM, right? But it's too small. Okay, so those are the things you need to balance for this issue called comprehensiveness and parsimony. Next, we have the term, the building block called how. Okay, what is meant by how is the arrows. Which variable points to which variable? The theory tells you, right? Which variable points to which variable, the theory tells you. Okay. The third component is who, where, and when. These are the moderators, the conditions. Okay. For example, this theory was developed for technology adoption at work. When you adopt technology at work, we have some moderators, right? People who are younger, older. People who are more experienced, less experienced. Some jobs, the technology usage is mandatory. Some jobs, the technology usage is not mandatory. So that's why they introduce these moderators into the model. And finally, the most important block of a theory is the why. Okay, why? What is why is the theory tells you why performance expectancy leads to intention, why effort expectancy leads to intention. The reasoning is given by the theory. So that's why this is the glue that puts all the variables together. Okay. Okay. Again, adding or subtracting factor from the theory doesn't contribute contribution. You need to explain why, not because when you're sleeping, right? God send you in your dream, two more variables to add in. We call it the wahyu, wahyu. You're sleeping, then God send you two moderators. Put here, put there, right? Just put here, put there, right? Okay. You do that, right? I know lah. I usually ask, where did you get the variables from? My beloved supervisor suggested. Okay. That's the kind of situation we are. So just adding variable doesn't contribute. No? You need to explain the gaps, why the variable is needed. So those are things I see lacking with many papers. Okay. So another problem with this theory is when you take a theory, you must have all the variables in the theory. So what I see currently, lots of people, they take the theory and then they remove variable ad hoc. Lots of them. If I see papers that like that, that's rejection, because there's no reasoning. Most of this theory works together. Theories are like rules, right? How the phenomena works. Cannot just simply delete the variable. These are the three utilities of a theory. It has originality, it has scope, and utility. So these three is the reason why we use theory to underpin our model. So for theory also, we have different kinds of theory. There are some theories, they have fixed boxes like this, right? If you are looking at this theory, you have attitude, subjective norm, perceivable control, intention, and behavior. These are the variables already fixed. You need to have them. Like just now I showed you, you can add anywhere in the model. Previously, we had these variables here, right? But now they have dropped these variables. Most of them just focus on this variable. Okay. So this is a theory which has fixed number of variables. Okay. But this theory also changes over time. It is not fixed all the time. This was in 1991. And then in 2006, the guy who developed the theory, he said, I made a mistake in 1991. So now instead of this arrow going here directly, this arrow is going here. Can you see? Okay, this happens after empirical testing. So they revised the theory. And now in 2019, he said, I made a big mistake many years ago. And now I want to correct myself. So my new theory is this. I don't have a direct arrow here. I don't have a direct arrow here. This variable is now moderating here. Totally changed, right? And now you are in 2024. You still want to use 1991? No? Oh my God. No? Okay. God bless Indonesia. Okay. It has already changed, right? Okay. This is already 5 years old. Okay. So this is a better theory, right? It's already telling you these two variables are actually conditional on the third variable. So those are things changing in the theory also. So you need to look at the more recent papers to understand better. Okay. So another theory we have is the first one, we have the boxes fixed. This one, it only gives you the main variables. We have three components. We have technology, we have organization and environment. These are the three components. Right? What goes under T, O, and E, you decide. Okay. What goes under T, O, and E, you decide. Okay. You can have a model like this, right? Three variables under T, three variables under O, three variables under E, and then intention. This is using TOE. Yeah? I also have another model like this. 3, 3, and 3, right? And here we have 5, 3, and 4. Combination of variable tidak sama bukan? Theory masih sama. Okay, theory masih sama. So that is the reason why we need to understand the differences in theory. The first one, you cannot, the variables are already fixed, right? Here the variables are not fixed. Only the boxes are fixed. Yang ini ya. T, O, and E, right? These are the three fixed ones. Okay. What goes inside, you can decide. Okay. And then we have another one which is resource-based view. This one don't have boxes at all. They don't give you the boxes. You need to define the boxes using this criteria, right? Valuable, rare, costly to imitate, organized to capture value, and sustain competitive advantage. If you can define your variable as resources, then you can use that. That's how this theory works. No defined variables. Okay. So you can see an example here. We have here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we have 3 here and 1 here. This is the flow of this theory. Yeah. Okay. We have another model here. We have 4 here, 3 here, and 1 here. Also using the same theory. The flow is resources lead to capability. Capability leads to competitive advantage. That's all the theory tells you. Okay? Okay. So another theory which is very open is this theory called stimulus organism response. This theory doesn't give you what are the variables. You need to define what is stimulus, what is organism, what is response. Okay? Similarly, we have system theory, right? This one, system theory, input, process, output. They don't give you what is input, what is process, what is output. You need to put into the boxes. Okay? This is also another theory available. So you can see an example here. Combination of variables are not the same. Okay? Combination of variables are not the same. Okay. Yeah. Okay. How many of you have heard about this guy called Viswanath Venkatesh? He's a very big name in technology adoption. He's the top guru of technology adoption. He developed theory like TEM2, TEM3, UTA, UT, UTA, UT2. Okay. These are the theories he developed. Okay. From the US. Very expensive guy. One day 5,000 US. Okay. One day 5,000 US. So this was a workshop I attended in Monash for 1 day. How to write the introduction section of a journal article. 1 full day. 1,800 Malaysian ringgit. Okay. Okay. But his explanations are really good. He writes in a journal called MIS Quarterly. MIS Quarterly Tahap Dewa Devi. God and Goddesses. Okay. So if you publish a paper in that journal, you are God already in your area. Okay. Unfortunately, we don't have anybody from Malaysia. No Indonesian also, I think, in MIS Quarterly. Malaysia also don't have. Okay. And this was on the 4th of July. We see he was wearing a tie of the American flag. Okay. Interesting. So during the workshop, we see this is a theory that many researchers use in Indonesia also. This is a very popular theory, right? Called UTAUT. What they do is they use the theory, but they drop these variables. Okay. They just use these variables. Okay. So during the workshop, I asked the Venkatesh, many researchers use your model, but they drop the moderators. What do you think? His reply is crazy. And the guy who developed the theory is saying crazy. You cannot drop the variable. But many people have published papers dropping the variables. Okay, and pass PhD also lah. Okay? Because the examiners also don't care, right? Those are things I'm seeing, which is totally incorrect. You cannot drop these variables, right? These are called conditional variable, right? This is dependent on this. So we cannot just drop this because we don't know how to analyze. Okay? Yeah, okay. Don't worry. Okay, this is another paper. This was published in Web of Science. If you see the model, do you see anything wrong with the model? Yes? No? Yeah. Yes. Can you see any problem? No? Yes or no? Okay, we have a big problem. Okay, we have this variable called continuous intention, right? This cannot happen before you use, right? Oh yeah. Okay. Can I see? For me, one look at this, I already tell you this is incorrect, right? This is continuous use in the future. This is your actual use. It's in reverse, but still got published. Okay. So many researchers are actually referring to them, and because it's published. But the theory doesn't say that. No? The theory tells you must actually use. You must use, then only you continue to use. Cannot be the reverse way. I don't understand how. But they still got published. Okay. Sebab more published, bukan? Okay. Okay. This is another theory developed by Venkatesh, right? Just now I was telling you. UTAUT to simpler. He developed this model for a different setting. Okay, the earlier model was developed for technology adoption at work. This is for technology where you enjoy playing games, shopping, okay, Facebook usage. We have variables here, hedonic motivation, right? They added this, and then they added habit. But the problem is they still have intention here. Many people use this theory to study intention to use, which is incorrect. Cannot use, because the intention to use here is not intention to use first time. It is intention to continue use. Okay? You don't see this in the model, right? But if you look at the measurement, you can see clearly here. I intend to continue using mobile internet in the future. This is continuance. And then if you see here, there's a variable called habit, right? The use of mobile internet has become a habit for me. You not check use, how can you have habit? No? But we still get papers published like that. Okay? Because the reviewers also don't look at the paper directly. Okay, we have this variable. Okay, we have this variable called, okay, we have these two variables, right? Intention and use. This is another problem I see in many developing countries. You collect intention and use at the same time. Welcome to Indonesia. Welcome to Malaysia. Masih lagi, Masih lagi, Kan? Betul. Intention is sebelum, bukan? Actual selepas, Awak sudah guna hari-hari, Masih intention to use 10 tahun dulu, Okay. Still people are doing, And they're still publishing theses and papers. I don't understand how. Okay, if you see the original paper, they have time 1, time 2. The first variable intention was collected today, and then 4 months later, then only the actual use. Ada time 1, time 2, bukan sekali. This is a problem I'm seeing a lot also. Many papers are rejected because of this. It doesn't make sense. If you are already using, intention is no longer a problem. That's why you begin with a research problem. What is the problem you are trying to solve? Okay? Okay. So this is another paper I saw, published in a Web of Science journal. And then I was saying, oh my God, I must share this to all my PhD students. The study says like this. You see here? the theory is applicable when the research intends to analyze the effect of trust and green supply chain management. Green supply chain management is organization level. UT is individual level. Okay? Okay? And if you see here, there's no variable from the theory. No variable from the theory. Yeah? So I cannot understand how these papers were published. Yeah? So these are some incorrect use of theory in papers. So as a researcher, my PhD student, the first thing I ask them to do is, can you tell me what theories you have, others have used to study the same phenomena? And then your student will u. Okay. You are supposed to be the expert in the area after you finish. Remember, you must know what theories others have used to study the same phenomenon. Then you decide one theory to focus on based on your context. Then only your contribution comes in. Okay, that's how I work on with my students. Okay, so these are some. This is a paper you should share with all your PhD students and also your beloved supervisors, so that they also read lah. This is a really good paper. I use this a lot in my master's level class for research method. They talk about the process of research where we have inductive, deductive. Now they have also added another one called abductive research. Tak payah ambil gambar. Semua ada dalam slide. Saya ada bagi folder, bukan? There's a folder I shared with you, right? It has a folder called reference article. All these papers are already there. Okay, so you can look at the slide and then look at them. This is a very good paper for you to read. Why theory is important when you are doing your research. It doesn't matter quantitative, qualitative or mixed method. Okay, so try reading this paper. And also some papers on borrowing theories. Okay. Another concern we were talking about also was this issue of generalizability. Do you understand what is generalizability, right? Your findings can be transferred from sample to population. You can transfer from population to population. Okay, that's what is called generalizability. So this is the term. So we can do from sample to population. We can do from population to population transfer. That's called generalizability. And when we do this, we actually have two types of generalizability. How many of you are aware of this? Yes? No? Anybody? Pernah baca? Have you ever read this paper? No? Okay. This one, the one we always understand is the first one. But we have another generalizability called scientific theory. What it means is something like this. So this is what we want to study, right? We want to study the relationship between X and Y in the population. So, it is denoted by a beta value, right? Okay. But we don't study this, right? You don't study this. What you study is here. Sample. Sample. You collect this sample, right? And then you run the test, you get a beta value of 0.408, right? So what you will do is now you infer back to the population. Okay, like this, right? Okay. Is it what you are doing? Is this what you do for your research? The mata tak berkelip, no? Is this what you are doing for your research? Yes or no? Yes, actually you are not, no? You are not doing this. You are not doing this, okay? You are actually doing this, Okay? You want to test the theory, right? The theory tells you X leads to Y. Okay? The theory tells you. So based on that theory, you collect a sample. You collect a sample and then you find that it is also positive. Now the theory is generalizable. Okay, not the effect. Do you care 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5? You don't care, right? As long as it's significant. And the sign is the same, okay? But you thought you were doing the first one until today. Okay, so today you can change. You're actually doing this. Okay, that is why when we do this kind of study, it will never be a random sample. It will never be a random sample because it will be purposive. because you need to look for people who you can test the theory. Okay, tidak perlu random. Ada juga manusia-manusia yang I call them makhluk-makhluk luar angkasa lepas. They always talk about random sample. Kalau tidak ada random sample, your study no good. Okay, I publish many papers. Most of my papers are non-random. Okay, because you're looking for people who use technology. You cannot get a list, bukan? You cannot get a list of people who use certain technology, right? Okay, so we study purposive sampling. We ask a question: do you own an iPhone 16? Yes. Then you become my sample. No, you stop lah. That's how we decide on the sample. So this is what we are actually doing. But we thought we are doing number one. We are not. We are actually doing this. Okay. So this paper by Calder is very good paper for you to read. Okay. Reading material. Okay. So this is what is meant by effects application. From this population, you study population X, right? You get a beta value 0.45. You want to transfer to another population called Y. This will not happen. This will not happen. But this will happen, right? You study the theory in population X, and you transfer the relationship, it was positive. You test in population Y, also positive. Can, right? Positive can, but actual number will not be transferable. Okay, so that's the difference between effects application and theory application. Okay. Okay. So this is another way you can understand this. We test the theory in population 1. We test the theory in population 2. The theory works in population 1, 2, and 3. So you collect your data in Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, and you find the same relationship to whole. Then we are saying the theory is generalizable, not the effect, not actual value. Okay, so that's the difference. So this is a good paper to read from a good friend of mine from University of Melbourne. His name is Peter Seddon. He was senior editor of MIS Quarterly for 5 years. So he actually wrote a paper on generalizability. Yeah. Okay, let me ask you a simple question. When we do quantitative research, it is generalizable, right? Okay. Qualitative research, is it generalizable? Yes or no? Yes or no? Qualitative research, is it generalizable? No, right? Itu ajaran sesat. No? Okay, you better correct that today lah. Okay, even qualitative research can generalize. Okay, but there's a term in qualitative research called thick description. Thick description. You need to explain. The company is this size. This is the product. This is the ownership. Any other company with that similar characteristics, you can generalize. So it is not true quantitative only can generalize. Qualitative also can generalize. Okay, can generalize. This paper. You must read. No? Okay, another question is like this. Let's say you collect data about satisfaction and commitment. You want to study satisfaction and commitment. You collected data in 2015. Now it's 2025, right? Can we test and publish the paper? Data was collected in 2015. We want to study satisfaction and commitment, but we want to publish a paper in 2025. Can we do that? Okay, Mita says no lah. Okay, because most of the time the reviewer will tell you data is outdated. Correct? Data is outdated. It is not true because you are not testing the data, right? You are testing the relationship. The relationship in 2015 was the same. Today also the same. It didn't change, right? So data doesn't get outdated, the relationship. But if we are talking about e-commerce, 2015 and 2025, they are very different. Then you cannot use the same data. Okay, you cannot use the same data. So this paper talks about this misunderstanding, atau di Malaysia kita panggil ajaran sesat lah. Okay, because the instructor who teaches you, right, most of the time, they actually don't do research. They're actually reading from books. That's where the problem starts. If your understanding is clear, if you read these papers, you can understand many of the things we are actually misguided. Okay, so try reading this paper. Okay. So previously I was talking to you about the research gaps, right? Okay, that's 7 research gaps. Hopefully you have seen this paper. Every time I do workshop, I ask, they have never seen this paper. I find this quite strange. 2017, he came up with a nice diagram. 7 different gaps, right? When you're writing a paper, you need to focus on at least one of the gaps. One of the gaps, okay? But if you are doing your PhD, you are focusing on this gap. Okay, quantitative research, right? You are focusing on this one. But if you are writing a paper, we can also use population gap. You know what is population gap, right? This study has not been done in Indonesia. This study not been done in Thailand. Okay, that's a population gap. This study not done in lower level employees, higher level employees. These are called population gap. Okay, so you can look at this paper to understand the gap. They even give you how to write up the gap. Okay. This is an interesting PhD thesis that I examined from Australia. I don't get to examine PhD thesis in Malaysia. Okay. I don't get to examine PhD thesis in Malaysia because every time you mention my name, the supervisor will faint, not the student will faint. Okay. So I have not examined a PhD thesis in my department since 2008. The last time I became an internal examiner was in 2008. Okay. They actually put me on hold because they said, this guy cannot be an examiner. Okay. But I get lots of theses from Australia to examine. The supervisors just Google search the name. Okay. And this was a PhD student from Malaysia doing her PhD in Australia. So she actually draw this diagram nicely. Okay. Usually in Malaysia, they will write this. For this one, nothing is known. Mine is the first in the world. Sama dengan Indonesia bukan? Bila buat PhD, nobody has done this before. I am the first in the world. Betul? Okay. So if you see the term they use is little is known, right? Ada, bukan tak ada. Okay. This is called the knowledge gap. Okay. This one is population gap. People have studied individual, not organization. Okay. This one is studied in Western countries and not in developing countries. These are all population gap. Okay. But this one and this one, we call them pelakon tambahan. You don't get a PhD for that. Okay. You get a PhD for this one. Is it? Okay. And she do this in chapter 2. So when I was an examiner, I was very happy. So already passed. But I wrote 15-page report for her. Her MOS analysis was totally terrible. Okay. I had to write along this, how to rerun the analysis. Okay. So this is how you can look at some of the gaps. So we have 7 gaps, right? They have actually 3 gaps here. Okay. This one. Knowledge gap. This is population gap. This is your theoretical gap. Okay. 3 gaps in one. Tak payah ada 7 lah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Boleh. Okay. Another concern many editors have is they write a paper, right? Okay. I want to study the relationship between X and Y. Nobody has tested before. But you never write why it is important to test. Okay. This is what it's saying. Sometimes the gap is there, but there is no reason to fill the gap. So you need to argue why the gap should be filled. Okay. So this is an interesting paper written by Elverson and Sandberg. So during the Venkatesh workshop, he shared this paper. This paper was arguing 85% of the papers published in the top journals were doing gap spotting. Tadi yang 7 gaps, remember? They focus on one of the gaps. And he said, this is not good. But Venkatesh has this. He said, 85% of the journals are publishing gap spotting, right? You should also do that. Because journal want that. Journal want that. Okay? So during the one-day workshop, I summarized for you the findings. He said, when you're writing your chapter number 1, you must have 2 types of problem. Okay? For those who are doing PhD also, same. we have a business problem, and then we have a scientific problem. Okay? Your business problem is related to the industry, right? Okay. This study is about cyber loafing. Cyber loafing is the use of internet during office hours for non-work related searches. Booking holiday, booking flight, right? Those are actually cyber loafing behavior. And what they found was 25% of the time is used for this purpose. So we have productivity loss. So this is the problem. Okay. And then you have to also tell the readers it will be important to which stakeholder. Okay. This problem will be important to which stakeholder. We have two stakeholders, right? One is the employee, the other one is the employer. Okay. Okay. After you have this business problem, this is to contextualize. Okay. I have rejected many papers because there was no contextualization. I want to do in Indonesia. You have to tell me why this problem is important to be studied in Indonesia. Currently, okay, that's the business problem. The second one is the scientific problem. What is new in your model? What are you introducing to the literature? This is called a scientific problem. You start with a theory and then you add some variables, right? That is how you are extending the model, the understanding. Okay, so here they give you, there's a term called 30,000 feet view. That means from a broader perspective, you look at the context, what variable can be introduced. Okay, so these two must be there in your introduction before your paper will be sent to review. Okay, clear? Okay. Okay, then we have this issue of measurement. This is also some changes happening with the literature. We have two types of measurement. Okay, let's say we have, when we do the model in chapter number 2, we have this variable, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? 4 variable. After that, we have to measure the variable with items. These are called items, right? Okay. So let's say we have a model like this. We have a model like this. And then you get a result like this. What will you do with these two items? Yes, what will you do with the two items? Lama tengok bang. Nanti dia berubah. Number dia berubah. Cepat-cepat sikit. What will you do? Ya, minta delete. Yeah. Okay. What you'll do is you say delete, right? Betul. Delete. Because training was like that. You have been trained very well. They say you don't think. Anything less than 0.5 you delete. Anything more than 0.5 you retain. Bukan? That is what you learn from the workshops lah. But that is actually not true. Okay? Awak belajar accounting bukan? Who's your accounting lecturer? Must shoot them lah. Okay. Okay. Can you measure performance without profit and sales? But you deleted, You deleted happily and you passed with a Ph.D. God bless us all. Even today it is happening. Okay, what you must understand is the software doesn't know theory. The software doesn't know theory. The software only knows correlation. Only knows correlation. What it's telling you is it's telling you a story. These two items are correlated. Okay? These two items are correlated. All 4 items don't go together. That's all it's telling you. It didn't ask you to delete. You deleted. Okay? If the software can talk, it will say something to you. Unfortunately, it doesn't talk. Okay? This is what is happening. Okay? So this is where we need to decide. We can now split them into 2, right? Now you see the results are very different, bukan? Okay, you don't have to delete any item. Okay. This is where we have another issue called formative measurement. Okay, so when we do measurement, we can also do like this, right? Now, if you do like this, you have 4 items, right? Which is the most important predictor of performance? Profit and sales, right? But you deleted the two of them, huh? Okay. You deleted the two of them, huh? Which are more important, right? Okay. Or predicting performance. So this is where the challenge of measurement comes in. Huh? So we have two types of measurement. Huh? Most of you are familiar with measurement like this called reflective measurement, right? Because the construct score is here. That's why your item indicator is high. Huh? The way you respond to the item will be high. We also have this kind of construct where the indicators are actually influencing your construct. Okay, we have this. Huh? Let's say you are a timely person. Huh? You are a timely person. Your answer to item 1, 2, 3 will be high or low. If you are a timely person, all will be high, bukan? Okay. If you are not a timely person, all these three indicators will be low. Okay. That's why we call them reflective. Okay. Okay. On the right hand side, we have life stress, right? Okay. Life stress is actually zero. Huh? Life stress is dependent on these three indicators: job loss, divorce, and recent accident. Huh? If you have all three together, life stress will be the highest. If you don't have any of them, life stress will be the lowest. So the indicator is actually influencing the construct. So we have two types of measurement now. You need to pick. You have to do that before you collect your data, not after you collect your data. Huh? There are also people who do that, right? Collect the data and then today reflective, next day become formative, next day become reflective. That's called reverse engineering, not research. You need to decide, huh? Okay, based on your understanding. Huh? Okay. So why this is important is most of the time when you adopt an instrument, you always use the literature, right? This person have used this variable as reflective. That's why I want to use as reflective. Huh? But what they have found in this paper is they analyzed 1,461 papers. This is what the authors did. And this is the correct one. Okay. Model as reflective, reflective, okay. Model as reflective should be formative, type 1 error. This is type 2 error. Type 1 and type 2 error put together, 1/3 of the papers published in these journals were actually wrongly modeled. And you are still following that. Okay. And these are not like Indonesian journal. We are talking about. No? We are talking about Journal of Consumer Research, Journal of Marketing, Journal of Marketing Research. Journal of Marketing, like I already mentioned, takes 3 to 5 years to get a paper published. And 1/3 of the papers published in those journals were wrong. Okay, were wrong. Huh? So that's how serious this problem of measurement happens. Huh? I didn't have this issue many years ago. Huh? I attended the first workshop in Australia in 2018. Huh? And then suddenly I realized we have different measurement. Okay, and now many reviewers are actually asking you, is your measurement reflective or formative? Okay, that kind of question was not there before. Now they're asking those questions. So you also need to be prepared for that. Okay. Okay. Based on the measurement, we have another issue we need to be concerned about called unidimensional versus multidimensional measurement. Okay. I want to measure a variable called knowledge sharing. I have 8 items, right? This is called unidimensional. Unidimensional. So I want to measure the same variable called knowledge sharing. I have 2 dimensions. Okay. Variable is still 1, but I have 2 dimensions. I want to measure this variable with 4 dimensions. Variable masih 1, tapi dimensi dia ada 1, 2, 4. So unidimension, multidimensional with 2 dimensions, and multidimensional with 4 dimensions, right? So you need to understand this measurement first. Okay. Very strict. Okay. Okay. This is the model that you actually run. So I have examined 3 PhD students. All ended up with major correction because of this problem. Okay. This is the model they are supposed to test. Okay. But what they tested was like this. Can you see? This is what they are supposed to draw in the software. But they tested like this. So what will happen is many of these items will get deleted. Okay. This is incorrect. Must run like this. Multidimensional. This is unidimensional. This is multidimensional. Okay. This is another problem I see a lot with PhD theses and also papers. They run the analysis incorrectly. So here when we do this kind of model, we need to have a validity, reliability of the first order. 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to calculate the validity, reliability of the second order. Many PhD students cheat. No? Okay, they report only this, they don't report this side. Because the numbers here are not very nice. Do you realize? Okay. I see that a lot, no? In papers also. Huh? So these are the two things you need to remember. Okay, so this is a paper that has highlighted the issue of citation. When you do measurement, right? You cite one paper, Ali et al. 1999, use this instrument. But now they are saying here, citation should not replace a logical and transparent discussion of how well the operationalization captures the underlying construct in the particular construct. Can you see here the construct and the context? The measurement must be tested before in the context of your analysis. Let's say you're studying tourism. It has been used in tourism. You want to study small business. That measurement has been used in small business. If the measurement used in larger companies, you cannot transfer them to smaller companies. That's where this issue comes in. And the second one is the more interesting one. This is what I usually do. So that's why I don't get to become examiner alone. Many PhD students, they will cite in the literature, I took this item from this author. I took this item from this author. I go and download those articles and read. The article don't have items also. So know where they get it from. Okay. Ini macam biasa dengar kan? There people do that. So if you actually go to the paper doesn't have item. But where did you get the item from? But the citation is from that paper. Okay. So this is where they say this. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is the suggestion. Understand your measurements well. Offer logical reasoning for the measurement. Don't do reverse engineering. Understand pre-testing well. Pre-testing also, we have lots of issues. There are some papers you can read about the pre-testing. Okay. Another issue we have is a problem I see with many papers currently called sources of data. Okay. When we collect data, this is how you collect your data, right? You want to study personality of the employee and performance of the employee. Personality is answered by the employee, performance answered by the employee, correct? In one questionnaire at the same time. Okay, this is what we have been doing. But we can change this, right? To employee answer the personality, but the supervisor rate the performance. Supervisor rated performance. Unit of analysis is still individual. But sources of data is two different sources. This is employee, this is supervisor. Okay. The third way collecting data is the same. Employee answer questionnaire, but the performance comes from secondary data. Annual evaluation. Okay. These are different sources, different method. Okay. So if you are doing a single source, this one, right? Now many journals are not receptive to single source data. Many top journals will dash reject. Okay, many top journals will dash reject, even including my students. Although I ask my students to collect data multiple source, right? The reply is most of my seniors don't do. Why should I do? Okay lah, it's your PhD, right? You decide, no? Okay. But when you go to publication, these are questions they will ask. Single source data. Okay, single source data. Okay. We also have multi-level data. I think many people are not aware of this. You want to study high performance work system and individual level employee well-being and job involvement. If you see the organizational level, only 50 data. Here we have 450 data. So this is called multi-level. So what we will do is we will take this variable and bring it down to this level. The employee don't understand, also they will rate. And then you have all same, right? This is not totally correct. So this is where we have multi-level data. We can also do that. But the software you use like Smart PLS and all cannot do. We need software like hierarchical linear modeling. Okay? Yeah, okay. Okay. Another problem we have is the collection of data at the same time, right? Like this data, they are collected at time 1 and time 2. These variables are collected at time 1. This variable is collected 1 month later. So we have a time 1, time 2, right? Okay. This is called time lag study. Yeah. Okay. For those who are doing mediation, this is the actual process of data collection. Your independent variable must be collected at time 1, mediator variable at time 2, and dependent variable at time 3. If you don't do this, many top journals are not receptive to you collect data time 1, time 1, time 1. Okay. So these are some emails that I get for my PhD student submission, right? Here, cross-sectional data, same source, cross-sectional data. Okay. In good journals. Okay. Okay. Like for those who are planning to do this intention and behavior, right? This is a paper that shows you clearly. Yeah. Okay. 5 minutes left. Okay. Okay. We have this variable called intention and behavior, right? We see they stop here and they say this arrow, do not test. You only stop here. You are not interested in this because this one nobody will report. So I stop here. You can, okay? You can, okay. Yeah. These are the suggestions. If possible, use multiple sources. If you have time lag data, will be better, okay. So for those who have single source data, what you can plan to do is you can read this paper by Potsakov. He has been writing this paper from 1986, revised in 2003, and then revised in 2012, now revised again in 2024. And the paper has become longer and longer and longer, okay, because people are reading. So he suggested 2 remedies. Procedure remedy and statistical remedy. Okay. Procedure remedy is what you do before you collect data. Statistical remedy is you do after you collect data. Okay. So when you collect your data, do you collect your data with the same scale? 5-point scale, 5-point scale, 5-point scale, or 5-point scale, 6-point scale, 7-point scale? Same scale, right? Yes? Okay, today you must think again. No good, no? Cannot use the same scale throughout. Cannot use the same scale throughout, no? Because if you use the same scale throughout, the respondent has a mental map. 1 is low, 3 is medium, 5 is high. He will answer consistently because of this mental map. But don't change the scale too often, no? 5 point, 6 point, 7 point, 5 point, 6 point, 7 point. People become very confused. What you need to do is at least your independent variable, use a different scale. Dependent variable, use a different scale. Because now you're giving the 5-point scale, right? After they finish answering, you give them 7-point scale. They have to reorient. It will change the pattern. Okay? It will change the pattern. So you should be doing that. Not the same scale. So balik tolong bagi tahu beloved supervisor. Okay. So another, see, this is a rejection we got from a journal. And if you see here what he wrote, this is an interesting email. One of our DBA students submitted to the journal. After 1 year, he got revised and resubmit. This is a Q1 journal. He was very happy to revise. And then the editor wrote this. Thank you for resubmitting. I see 2 additional issues that reviewers or I may not have detected earlier. What he's saying is, I didn't read your paper 1 year ago. Now I'm reading your paper. Now I notice this problem. Okay. This is the problem. First, given the nature of your topic, this paper is better suited for publication in International Marketing Journal. Hello? 1 year you keep my paper, review, send back, and then you're saying not suitable. Bidang tak kena, dia kata. Tak apalah. And then second, my careful review leads me to believe this manuscript does not meet JM's publication threshold, as your data probably suffer from common method self-informant bias because both dependent variables and independent variables were responded to by the same respondent. And he says this, as you may know, this is now considered a serious flaw in management research, if not in marketing research. So he's saying, take a paper to a marketing journal. Maybe they will accept. My journal, don't come near. That's the kind of email I get. No? Okay, don't worry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you can. I will finish this, then I will stop. Okay, common method variance is like this. Huh? You want to study job satisfaction and organizational commitment, right? You collect data from the same person, you get R squared 20%, right? Okay, let's say this is from the population. Huh? From other studies, only 20%. And then when you collect your data from your sample, you get R squared 60%. 3 times higher, right? This is what is meant by common method variance. R squared is higher than what is supposed to be. Okay, that's the first one. Huh? The second one is your common method bias. Huh? This is related to your beta value. Huh? In the population, other studies is 0.25. But when you collect your data, you get 0.50. 2 times higher than. This is called common method bias. Okay. So for this, you need to do this remedy. Yeah. It is called a marker variable technique introduced by Lindell and Whitney. So in your questionnaire, you should have a variable like this before you collect your data. So you can read this paper by Miller and Simmering. They have suggested an ideal marker variable called preference for color blue. Okay, a preference for color blue. Okay. Yeah. Okay. These are some papers you can read. So if you can see this journal, we have written an editorial in our journal called JASEM, just to address this issue of single source bias. Okay, and if you see here, in terms of accounting for common method variance, the use of a marker variable is preferred these days. Okay, that's an email from the editor. Okay, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ramayah. Please be seated. I think we all agree that we got carried away by Professor Ramayah's presentations, and we learned a lot about the issues in research that we can avoid to ensure that our research is good. Unfortunately, as long as you want to listen more, but time doesn't allow us, we still have our second speaker, Dr. Siwage, Pak Siwage, who will be discussing more about contemporary issues in business and economic research. So, Pak Siwage, floor is yours.
This one? Okay. Okay, very good morning, everyone. I'm very pleased and very honored to be here. And yeah, I would like to first thank Pak Rian and the team for inviting me to come again to Gajah Mada University, which is a very nostalgic place for me myself, because I was a student back in 1992. I was a student of what is that? The IESP. What is that? That stands for Ilmu Ekonomi Studi Pembangunan. Yeah. So it is the economics, and in this faculty, I understand that there are 3 different departments: the accounting, management, and also the economic department. So my background is in economics. And I was trained firstly at Gajah Mada, and since then I continue my journey as a student of economics. So as we already listened, a very comprehensive and very important lecture from Prof. Ramayah about the common mistakes and also kind of basic fundamental things that every researcher has to remember. So my presentation is basically very kind of general. It's less technical compared to Prof. Ramayah, but I really hope that it can provide some kind of complement to all this technical presentation that Prof. Ramayah has already given us. So the topic that I'm preparing is similar like this workshop theme. And here's the outline for my talk. There are 3 parts. First part is I will discuss some of the key issues that we are all facing now. Not just researcher, student, but also policymakers are thinking about how to address these issues. Yeah, so maybe this can help student or researcher here to kind of think about what are the top research topic that you are going to do, or you want to kind of select for your thesis or for your journal publication. And then the second part, I will talk about the strategies. What are the strategies that we can do in order to kind of address these issues in effective way. And then last part is about the challenges faced by many of us as a researcher. I also learned from Prof. Ramayah presentation that as a researcher, we often make mistake, right? There's no such thing as perfect paper. So we always come maybe with weak paper first, and from then we learn from the mistakes and try to improve. So basically it's a learning journey for every one of us, how we improve. And it's good like this kind of discussion actually give a reminder to every one of us, including myself, Prof. So there are some basic mistake that we sometimes did, and then I think we need to always think about that from the theory, the concept, the theory, and then the method, how to make sure that our research is always rigor. Yeah. So let me start with the first issue that we deal in the current period. I think everybody is now talking about the new economic order, right? It has been started since the Trump administration, Trump 1.0. Yeah, we started like the world is facing the kind of trade war, the conflict between the US and China, and then the world starting to get to be more protectionist and start to kind of there's a global movement against the globalization. So we are now in the new economic order, but we haven't reached the equilibrium point. Yeah, we are still in the transition period. And with the new election in the US and with Trump 2.0, we expect that these trends will continue going forward. So we will continue looking at the US-China tensions getting more intense. So chip wars, and then friend-shoring, near-shoring, decoupling. Maybe you are familiar with all these terms. And now many countries, not just the US and China, including Indonesia also, we are talking about our economic resilience. Yeah, we want to be resilient when there's a crisis, when there's a pandemic. So we want to achieve that resilience. So the question is that what does this implies, or what are the implications of this development to our region, and also in particular to our country, Indonesia, right? So as a researcher, we may need to use our knowledge or research skills, how to address this kind of challenge and try to apply our knowledge, our discipline to explain about these issues. And the expectation is that our research can be also useful for other stakeholders like the policymakers and also the business community. So it's, Prof. Ramayah has already mentioned about the importance of theory, and we can use the theory to explain about the new phenomena, and then we can test using the data that available and test whether the theory still works or not. Yeah, with the current state of the world, which is very different, and whether the theory can survive the test of time, that depends on the data. Yeah, right, Prof. So the second issue that I would like to also discuss with you is about this global issue on climate change. Yeah, I think everyone maybe already feel that the impact of climate change. Our cities, Jakarta, was reported sinking. Some may believe and some may not believe on that, but yeah, in reality, we already feel the impact of climate change. Some islands are disappearing because of rising sea level. So in these trends, we also see that the government in many parts of the world, including in Indonesia, has been trying to address the impact of climate change. So with some mitigation and adaptation measures implemented. But maybe we need to think about the basic question: what are the costs and benefits of our policy in transitioning to a green economy to address the climate change? Yeah. Sometimes this is the thing that not widely understood. So I think as a researcher, we need to start thinking about what are the overall impact of the climate change from the cost and benefit perspective. Yeah? And it's not just about economic or financial costs or benefits, but also other non-economic and financial impacts. Yeah, I think in many research we see that there are a lot of gaps that we find in measuring the impact of green economic transition. And the second question is about how to address the market failures. We deal with the public goods. I think in economics we learn about this when we have the public goods utilization. There's a kind of market failures in which that everybody can use it and they don't have to pay the cost of the use, right? So that's the tragedy of the commons. So in economics, we always try to measure how to deal with market failures, and this is something not easy. And now, if the world is facing the common problem like climate change, and then the biggest economy in the world is withdrawing from the climate change agenda, so what will be the implication to the global climate change agenda? So that can be a big research topic. And I think many governments now has to also think about how to align our economic incentives with the green economic objective. Yeah, this is maybe related to the industrial policies. I think in Indonesia we have various industrial policies that the government has already initiated to address the climate problems and also to promote the green economy transition or development. Take one example, the downstream policy. This is how to process the mineral so that it will add more value to the Indonesian economy. So can we say that this downstream policy is really will bring us to a more green economy? So that if we start with that question, then how do we measure that? How do we measure that our industrial policy, downstreaming policy will bring us to a more green economy? Yeah, I think maybe here some researcher or some PhD student or some master student are already researching in that direction. So the hope is that our research in this area maybe can contribute to the policy discussion and also to the understanding of the overall impact of our own economic policies on the climate issues. And the third issues that I want to discuss is on the technology, innovation and technology. And everybody now is talking about artificial intelligence. There's a book. This is very quite popular by the expert of AI, Kai Fu Lee, on AI superpowers, how China, Silicon Valley, and the new world order. Yeah. So the book basically tried to provide kind of idea that AI is the future for all the economy in the world. Yeah, every country is now trying to invest in AI. They want to be the AI superpowers. So not just the United States, but China is also moving very fast in this technology, and other countries is also trying not to be left behind. So where does Indonesia stand for in this competition? Yeah, we are seeing now the impact of the technology, AI, Internet of Things, blockchain in every sectors of the economy, in the banking sector, finance, governance, industry. Yeah, so we can see that the impact, and I think this can be a good opportunity for researcher to really understand about the impact of this kind of technology on a specific industry. And yeah, of course, we need to also think about what kind of conceptual or theoretical framework that can be applied. Yeah, and in certain sector like public and private sector, we can also see how this public and private sector responds to the change in technology. And yeah, the last part is on the regulation, how the government and policymaker set the guardrails to promote the ethical and responsible use of such technology. And yeah, there are still many open questions, and this open the opportunity for future research. And I believe that the Faculty of Economics and Business of Gajah Mada can actually show that you are quite advanced in this research on technology, new technological and innovation, because this is the future. And I think learning from what Prof. Ramayah has already mentioned, like we need to be careful about what are the data or the theory that we can use. Yeah, I think the question for us is, with this kind of new development, which theory and which or kind of conceptual or estimation methodology that can be effectively used. Yeah, so maybe we can discuss about that later. So this is the Faculty of Business and Economics, right? So we need to start thinking about collaboration as well between business and economics. Now we see that in the corporate sector, there's this trends to push forward for ESG criteria or standard, right? Environment, social, and governance. So we can work together in doing more research on the sustainability in business practices. Yeah, we look at what are the economic implication and business implication as well in this area. And then another potential collaboration in business and economics is about the digital transformation and AI. Yeah, it has affect business in many parts of the operation, the business operation. The use of AI, big data, automation, enhance productivity, but at the same time, they also affect the other aspect of the business operation, like jobs and also the organizational structure. So how we look at this impact of digital transformation and AI on the organizational structure, that's I think an interesting topic for any student or any researcher at Gajah Mada to look at. And then the global supply chains resilience. We talk about resilience, and now lesson learned from the pandemic. Yeah, I think also the ongoing geopolitical tension, and now business are trying to build their own supply chains resilience. in Indonesia, we need to think about what are the kind of supply chains resilience that we need to build. Is that related to agriculture? Is that related to certain manufacturing industry, nickel, mining, or other sector? Yeah, this is an open question, but it is important to know how we can position ourselves in this kind of new environment, and the research could contribute in this kind of discussion. And last is on the inclusive economic growth. Well, you all know that the government has already set a very high economic growth, 8%. So then we can ask also the question whether this is really something that Indonesia needs, right? Or will there be an implication to the overall inequality if we only focus on higher growth? And what are the implications to other aspect of development? So in this area, I think business and economics maybe can start doing more research on what are the challenges, the implication that we need to consider when we aim for higher growth, and how actually we can complement the higher growth goals or targets with something like more also like something that can also help the country or our economy to achieve more inclusive economic development. So that is a kind of development issues, but it can always be looked at from business or economics angle. So what are the strategies here for, this is the second part. We already talked about the issues. Now, what are the strategies for identifying relevant research topics? I think as a student, we, not just student, I think researcher, lecturer, we are all continuously learning, right? And we need to continuously follow the emerging trends. We need to continue updating. Yeah, Prof. Ramayah has already mentioned some journal that published in few years back may not be relevant if we cite that journal in the current situation. So we need to continue analyzing what are the recent or contemporary development in certain field, in our field. So we need to basically diligently monitor the publication reports, news, and try to also keep up with the recent development. And collaboration with industry and policymakers are important because they know the real world, the data, what is happening on the ground. So often as a researcher, maybe we focus on theory, concept, or the methodology, and we often maybe less understand about the real world or ground world situation. Yeah, so we need to just continuously interact with the industry and policymakers. And participation in academic and industry forums is also important. This is to build network, to learn from our peer colleagues about the new development in the area. And last is on interdisciplinary approach. Yeah, I think we see that now in many journal articles, they don't use only one discipline. They combine several disciplines to look at the more complex global economic issues. So perhaps that it is not enough to just look at certain issues from economics angle, but we need to borrow some other discipline, other concept from different discipline to understand about the complexity. So that the picture is basically to show you how interlink different disciplines in science, different field. Yeah, like this, the purple one. Well, this one, the purple one, the business and management is closely linked to other discipline like social studies, and health and economics, politics and geography and other sciences, yeah, including psychology. So maybe the innovation that we can do is bringing to the literature about how to do this interdisciplinary kind of approach or research to address certain issues. So, well, my last part of this talk is basically maybe repeating what Prof. Ramayah has already mentioned about the challenge in improving our research quality. Well, the challenge are significant. Yeah, the picture is showing how difficult is the life as a PhD student, right? You have the challenge to kind of finish your degree on time, and also publish. But also sometimes you have a communication issue with your supervisor. Sometimes your supervisor is also not easy to communicate with the student. So yeah, I think that there are a lot of challenge, and also you have to face the competition with other student as well, yeah, in terms of finding the original or interesting research question or research topics. So all these challenges are normal. Everyone here, I think, have to some extent faced that kind of challenge. And if we fail, then it is normal, right? As long as we don't give up, that should be the way. So I think as student, what is important is that not just we have a clear understanding about what we are going to do, but we can also frame what are our research question, define the gaps in existing literature, as already explained, what are the gaps, and articulate the research question that can fill those gaps. And then methodology has to be robust as well, as already explained in greater detail by Prof. Ramayah. And yeah, it's not something that easy. You need to also have a discussion with your supervisor or senior researcher to really make sure that your methodology is robust. And peer feedback, yeah, this is important in academic research. Yeah, we need to get peer feedback. Yeah, some has already pointed out before that we always think that our research is the best in the world, but oftentimes it is not the case. So yeah, we need peer feedback, basically to give us understanding about our own weakness. And the last part, the last one is on the collaborative research. We may try to partner with researchers from diverse fields or countries to gain broader perspective. Yeah, I'm very happy that Gajah Mada has already established international collaboration with researchers from other countries, and I think that is a good direction to improve the quality of research, and also maybe improve the productivity as well. So to sum up, I think all of us is still continuing the kind of our challenge to publish. And yeah, this is the game, long game, and we should not assume that we can achieve we can have a shortcut to publish in a good journal. Yeah, one rejection, two rejection, or even 5, even 10 rejection should not make us lose hope. So I think the key message that I want to share is that I think we need to continue learning, and improving our quality, And this kind of forum is actually good to share experience and also maybe think about what are the best strategy for us to move forward. Okay, I will stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Siwage, for insightful presentation, and thank you all for being such an attentive audience throughout the presentation. Now I think it's time to open the floor for Q&A sessions. This is your chance to interact directly with our guest speakers and dive deeper into the topics that we've covered. To keep things smooth, I'd like to kindly ask you that first, keep your question concise and to the point. And second, introduce yourself by briefly mentioning your name and your institution before asking your questions. Okay? So, who would like to kick us off with the first question? Question from the audience? Yes, one. Another question? Two? Two question? One more question? Three. Yes. 1, 2, 3. First question.
Okay, thank you. My name is Fahmi. I'm a Ph.D. student in this faculty. I have two questions for Ramayah. My first question is, could you share to us about your journal JASEM about acceptance rate? Okay. The second question is, as it mentioned in your journal JASEM, it said that we could submit about methodological article. Maybe you could share to us about emerging issues in SEM, so maybe we can have more opportunity to get accepted in that journal. Thank you.
Second question.
Okay, thank you. I'm Naila from Negara University. I want to ask, what do you think about the role of AI to support our research process, maybe to look for the novelty or research gap, and then how we can optimize the role of that AI by considering the ethical issues on that process? Thank you.
And your question directed to Professor Ramayah or Pak Siwage or both?
Maybe or both.
Both. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
The third question.
Okay, thank you. My name Linda. I'm from Bisnis University. I have a short question from Prof. Ramayah. It is regarding with the new alternative methodology related with the bibliometric. There are lots researcher using that, but my question is, how about your comment about that? It is possible if I use bibliometric to do like a contemporary issue business economic research, because it is a lot information journal is related regarding with this issue today, but I using bibliometric and then to submit to your journal. It is possible because I know the bibliometric is some like not experimental research. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think we have 3 questions, and I'd like to give to speakers to address the question. The first question from Fahmi is about JASEM. Question to Professor Ramayah. Fahmi asked about acceptance rate and what emerging issues in JASEM and tips and tricks to get accepted in your journal.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Acceptance rates are quite high for JASEM because we don't get so many papers as compared to the other journal I have called AMJ. I get about 700, 800 papers in a year. Okay, so acceptance rates are actually higher, much more higher in JASEM compared to AMJ. The only problem is we are not getting good papers. We are trying. I think there are some issues with 3 papers, 4 papers only, because we don't get enough papers after review. Okay, so before you submit a paper to the journal, you can also try to send an email to the managing editor called Mumtaz. Okay, he's one of our PhD student many years ago. So now he's in Oman. You can send him an email whether the paper is suitable for that journal before you submit, because sometimes you submit, they reject, right? So you can ask them first. That's the first issue. The second issue about methodological development in SEM, that's a more difficult question. I've not done much of that, but I have a paper on, there's an issue of redundancy analysis. When you're doing formative measurement, we have issue of redundancy analysis. So what happens is, in the literature, they ask you to collect another variable which is multiple item. Okay, but here in 2014, he came out with the idea of a global item, single item. So we actually wrote a paper in International Journal of Contemporary Hospitality Management, addressing that issue. Which one works better, single item or multiple item? And finally, our conclusion was single items works well. Okay, but we also had some help. Okay. I'm also very close to the developers of Smart PLS, Ringler and Sastan. So we have help from them. When I submitted a paper to that journal, the review came back with 60 bullet points. Okay. And then Ringler was telling, if we address all these bullet points, might as well we submit to management science, which is higher than this. So he actually wrote an email to the editor saying that some of these issues has been already addressed in other papers, so we will not address all the comments. And then finally we got published in the journal, and that paper also gets a lot of citation. Okay, that's the strategy. So for the journal, Mumtaz is very nice. Okay, he always says, you just submit, we will give you feedback. The only thing is, like there was a question on AI. Now we have a big problem with AI. Many of the papers are now generated using AI, which we don't like. Okay, the idea must come from you. If you want to help, you get help in terms of editing, idea. That's fine. But what now we are doing is, when you submit a paper, we are actually asking for data, because many of them actually don't have data. Okay. When we ask for data, they don't come back. That's also happening. So that's a issue with the AI. Okay. And then the third one was, okay, I'm not a big fan of bibliometric, but there's too many papers on bibliometric currently. But fortunately, my PhD student just got she published her bibliometric paper in Journal of Intellectual Capital, which is a Q1 journal. I am actually very lucky in terms of that. I had one PhD student who published in 3 Web of Science journal. Journal of Business Research, Journal of Intellectual Capital, and Helion. And then 2 Scopus paper from one thesis. So one PhD student, 5 papers. Okay. One of the paper was Systematic Literature Review, but the topic was under research. She was looking at resilience in organization. So the paper was very recent. 2 months, we got it reviewed and accepted. Okay. But currently the challenge is, there are lots of people writing bibliometric paper because most of them are generated by the software. The first part, the voice viewer, the gambar cantik, the word cloud, all very nice but the problem is, when you go to the end of the paper, how do you write what you define? That is the one missing in many papers. Like my journal, most of the time we don't accept bibliometric. The question we will ask is, so how is your paper different from previous papers? Okay. And then after your research, what can you suggest? Those are the 2 things. I think there's a guy called Satish Kumar. He's from India. Originally, he was working in Swinburne. And now he's gone back to India. He writes lots of paper on bibliometrics. And he writes very, very good papers. Okay, Satish Kumar, and he has a co-researcher in Malaysia called Lim Weng Mak. These 2 guys are really good. So if you have an opportunity to attend a talk or workshop with them, they can explain better what you need to focus when you're writing a bibliometric paper.
Thank you, Professor. And second question to Dr. Siwage about the role of AI and
Yep.
how to optimize the use of AI in our research.
Yep. Thank you. Maybe before that, I would like to maybe kind of promotion. If you some student here or lecturer or researcher here would like to publish in our journal, it is called Journal of Southeast Asian Economies. You are very welcome to submit your draft. Yeah. So the journal is actually about Southeast Asia, and you can use the economics theory or the kind of business theory and then apply that to certain countries in Southeast Asia. So we have received several good articles from Indonesian researcher, and yeah, of course the rejection rate is quite high as well, and some common mistakes that the student or the person that submit to our journal is that they want to do it quickly and without really looking at what are the requirement from the journal, right? They just use whatever draft that they have for their assignment and then quickly submit that. So that kind of practice is not it's not accepted. And yeah, the second question about AI, I think AI is unstoppable. Yeah, you can't stop the use of AI. I think now in many universities around the world, they are already allow the use of AI, right, to support kind of help the student and also lecturer, researcher to get more information quickly. But of course, there must be a responsibility when you use technology in your research, and you need to kind of highlight where do you use that. So in Singapore, like big university like NUS, NTU allow the student to use AI, but then when there's a kind of examination, then what is the most important or critical examination is whether the student really just use AI or there's some additional kind of contribution from the student, right? The thinking or the idea must comes from the individual, not from the AI. And then also the method and also the kind of the technique or the data should be come from the student. And I think what we often see now, I think that the use of AI is getting more and more popular, and every submission, the paper has to be put under certain software, right? Turn it in, yeah, to check the similarity index. So the limit is that about 20% similarity index. If your similarity index is beyond 20%, then you basically your paper will be rejected, or you will get some kind of very low grade in your assignment. So maybe that's the current practice. But yeah, this is still open for kind of debate and discussion how we should deal with the new technology. I think AI will become very sophisticated, and at some point the software maybe have difficulty in tracking down the originality of the paper.
Thank you, Professor Ramayah and Pak Siwage, for your answer. I think one follow-up question from me, if you don't mind, just confirmations from Bulingar question. I do understand that you mentioned very clearly bibliometric technique is not your thing, and I do understand that this is not suitable for JASEM. But how about the Asian Academy of Management Journal? Would that be still suitable for that journal, Professor Ramayah?
Okay. For AMJ, we have a requirement. It must be quantitative. We actually very, very seldom we publish qualitative or conceptual paper, unless the paper is really well written. I think one exception was a lady from Australia. I think one of the big name editors. She submitted a paper to the journal. So we actually accepted the paper. But most of the time we are looking for quantitative research paper. For bibliometric papers, unless you have an issue which is current and you write it very well with some implication for future research, we will consider. Okay, most journals are like that. No? Now, in some journal, they already have a clause. We don't accept any more SLR paper. That's a challenge. Because I think in Malaysia also, we have many people running these workshops with the promise that you can publish a paper without data. I always tell them, you attend and see you publish how many papers. That's all. But that's a challenge. But maybe you can look at journals that have already published SLR papers and then see how you can focus. I have hundreds of papers. I think 1 or 2 only SLR. I get more than 700, I think. Only Scopus.
Okay, thank you, Professor Ramayah. Do we still have other question from the floor? Okay, one question. Other question, please, before we start giving the microphone to the lady over there. No question? Okay, please.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for me. Prof, I would like to ask to Prof Ramayah about the looking for the research gap using the keynotes in FOSS Viewer. Is it possible to find research gap using keynote in FOSS Viewer? Because yesterday my paper got review in the conference when I told audience if this is my research gap in my paper based on the bibliometric and FOSS Viewer analysis, and then the reviewer said if you use keynote in the FOSS Viewer, it means you will generate the new keynote, the new keyword in every sample that you put in the FOSS Viewer. So how about your opinion, Prof Ramayah?
Your name and your institution, please. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm nervous. My name is Bramantika and I'm PhD student in Gajah Mada University.
Okay. Do we still have another question? Otherwise, I will ask Professor Ramayah to respond to this question.
Okay. When you write SLR papers, there are many types of SLR paper. I think many people are not very familiar with this. They only know one method. Just put some keyword and something will happen, right? Okay. They are SLR, they focus on theory. Okay. SLR that focuses on theory. SLR that focuses on method. SLR that focuses on variables. Okay, the variables one, what will happen is you will identify all the variables and then you put them together in a matrix. Okay, that kind of papers will generate more citation because you have a comprehensive view of the literature. And from there, you can identify what has already been done and what is lacking from the literature. Then you can focus on some gap. Okay, yeah, that's possible. Many of my students do that. No? So, I gave a keynote in Kuching a couple of months back. No? So, what I did was I asked my PhD student to run bibliometric analysis on chatbot adoption. And then the one I showed you, that's actually from the review. And then I found that many people have studied direct relationships, but they have not. They did not look at moderators. They did not look at mediators. For the suggestion is now instead of looking at direct relationship, maybe we look at mediator relationship or moderator relationship. That's how you identify the gap and then find the variable that is suitable for the gap.
Okay, thank you, Professor Ramayah. Question still? I don't see any more question. Shall we come to the end of this session? I think so. Yeah. Seriously, we have distinguished journal editors here. We have to make use. We have to make the best use of them in here. Anyway, okay. But one question. Okay, question.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name Arta Zulian Effendi. I come from University of K. Haji Ahmad Abdul Wahab Hasbullah Jombang. I want to ask to Mr. Pak Siwage about I want to about wakaf, cash wakaf. To cash wakaf in your presentation is sangat berhubungan, atau istilahnya itu sangat konferensi antara digital, kemudian juga tentang ekonomi, tentang sosial sama lingkungan atau pemerintahan. Jadi so environment and government and social about development cash wakaf for Indonesia or in the world is the important. If I want to apply in your journal about cash wakaf, apakah bisa? Terus apakah relate atau harus bagaimana biar bisa di approve di jurnal Bapak? Jadi apakah ada syarat-syarat atau gimana? Soalnya dari tadi kan kita membahas tentang ekonomi biasa, tapi ini lebih ke Islamic economic atau Syariah economic. Mungkin itu saja yang saya ingin tanyakan. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you, Pak Ahmad from Jombang. Yeah, it's far away from here actually, from different province, still in the same island. Anyway, I should translate into English so that Professor Ramayah can follow the question. You can. Okay, then it's fine. All right. So, Pak Siwage, please.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Ahmad, for the question. I think, well, I'm not expert in that topic, like cash wakaf, right? So usually everyone that submit their manuscript to our journal, there will be editors that select that first review whether this topic is suitable for the journal or not. So there are several criteria that will be used, like whether it covers the Southeast Asian economies, and then of course the originality of the idea and methodology, the writing quality. So that is the standard. All journals will look at that, right? First the quality of the draft, and if it passed the first stage, then it will be sent to external reviewers. So at least 2 external reviewers who are expert in that area. So if we don't have any expert in cash wakaf, then we will try to find an external expert outside our institute or outside Singapore to review that paper. And yeah, I think the publication opportunity or the successfulness of being published will depend on the review process, right? So I cannot guarantee that every submission will be accepted. Yeah. But thanks for the question. I think from Indonesia, there are quite many papers related to Islamic Sharia economy, and maybe one of our lecturer here, Pak Anggito, recently published with our journal as well about the Islamic goods, the trade in Islamic goods in Southeast Asia. So he used the data to look at the trends, where are the biggest source of the Islamic goods or Islamic products, and then where is the destination for that the trade. So it is accepted and published this year. That's happened. Thanks.
Let me ask him a question. Are you looking for an avenue for publication kah? Ada specific topic, Pak? Sebab if you are looking for avenue for publication, if you are writing about Islamic issues, right? I think there's two journals in Emerald which publishes them. One is Journal of Islamic Marketing. The other one is Journal of Islamic Accounting and Business Research. These two journals that will give you a better chance of publishing on cash wakaf. But if you want to write on papers related to that kind of topic, I would suggest you look at the author from Malaysia called Hanuddin Amin. Okay. He writes lots of papers on that, single author, so you can get a better picture of how to structure your paper.
Thank you for the answer, Siwage and Professor Ramayah. Okay. Last chance. Still, do we still have a question from the audience? No? Okay, I think we should come to the end of these sessions. But before we move to the conclusion of today's sessions, I want to take a moment to reflect on what we've covered today. The insights shared today by both speakers with us are invaluable. Professor Ramayah spoke about new developments in quantitative survey research from theory to measurement and data collections. And we learned a lot from his presentations. And actually, Professor Ramayah emphasized the importance of research rigor. And that from there, researchers are encouraged to align their work with the modern publishing expectations, prioritizing on theoretical and methodological rigor and contribute meaningfully to academic discourse. So that's the key message from Professor Ramayah. But we also learned a lot about gap in the research and contributions to the research, which Professor Ramayah talked about conceptual gap, empirical gap, and methodological gap, and also talking about building block of the theory, where he emphasizes on what and how about the construct and the relationships, and also more importantly is the why aspect, explaining the relationships between the theory, between the relationship and the theory underlying the relationship behind the variables. And I think one also, Professor Ramayah talked about generalizability and research gap, talking about different type of research gap, which are population gap, empirical gap, methodological gap, and a thing. And Professor Ramayah also presented a continuum of contribution to research, which also we learned from his presentation. I think that's what I take from Professor Ramayah. From Pak Siwage, we learned a lot about contemporary issues in business and economic research. What we learned from him is the geopolitical and economic shift. We learned about some concept like chip wars, friendshoring, China plus one, and we are seeing China and US tensions, and we are now seeing more and more people looking at economic resilience and looking at the new phenomena, and we need to look at and put our research in looking at and understanding this new phenomena using the theory, and explain the phenomena using the theory, and also testing the theory if the theory still holds. Pak Siwage also talked about climate change and sustainability, looking at mitigation, adaptation, transitioning to green economies, addressing market failures, and aligning economic policies with environmental objective. Also, important thing is technological advancements, which is very relevant to our life, or our
our situation today. He emphasized about AI, blockchain, rapid digitalizations on sectors like banking, governance, and industry. Also, public and private sector responses to this new development in technology. And also, perhaps we also need to look at regulatory challenges for the ethical technology use and put our research in these new phenomena. Professor Siwage also looked at integration of business and economic research. In particular, he talked about sustainability, ESG issues, and digital transformation, exploring how AI and big data influence not only productivity and operations, but also labor market. And also global supply chains is another point Pak Siwage talked, and also the importance of inclusive growth, economic growth, balancing innovation with poverty reductions and equality in emerging markets. Last but not least, I think Pak Siwage also talked about strategies for identifying relevant research topics. We are suggested to monitor global trends through leading journals, think tanks, international reports, collaborating with industry and policy makers to bridge the gap between academia and real-world applications, participating in forum, webinars, and interdisciplinary events to stay updated on diverse perspectives. Also use interdisciplinary methods to tackle complex global challenges. One really last point, challenges in enhancing research quality. I wouldn't want to repeat because there are a lot of similarity with what Professor Ramayah presented earlier. So I think we come to the end of this session. So that's the takeaway point from Professor Ramayah and Pak Siwage. So ladies and gentlemen, before I return the floor to our Master of Ceremony, let us once again extend our deepest gratitude to our esteemed panel of journal editors. Thank you, Professor Ramayah and Pak Siwage.